When you're looking for Whirlpool innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified Whirlpool appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Hi, I'm John Malos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this day. It's a Friday morning, and today we're going to be talking about, well, adoptions. That's right, foster care and then the transition into the adoption process. You can be a part of the program. 436-ME-TV, option 11. We're back with our Friday morning edition of this broadcast in just a moment. All right, back here on the program, 436-ME-TV, option 11, no sponsor on this day. So if you'd like to call in and be a sponsor on this day, on a Friday, you're more than welcome. But the spots are filling up fast, my friends, so you better hurry. But anyway, the open line is here, 436-ME-TV, option 11. On this day, we're talking about adoption. But first, a couple of programming notes, and that is that on Monday, it's going to be a fun program. We're going to have somebody from the Democratic side, somebody from the Republican side. Both were delegates. Both went to the conventions, the Democratic and Republican conventions. And also, I want to kind of say this not too loud. I don't want to say this too loud, just in a very low voice, okay? I think Dennis Hart might be calling in on Monday, too. You know Dennis Hart, our political analyst. He's our media analyst as well. He's been on the case, and he may or may not call in. We'll see how it goes. But on Monday, we're going to talk about Donald Trump. Is he mentally stable? Can he come from behind and win? Don't forget, Hillary is coming out of that bump from the convention, and then you got the Olympics that are starting today. So who's going to be paying attention to the presidential race? So it's going to be hard for Donald Trump to make up ground for the next, I'd say, 2 or 3 weeks until the Olympics are over. By that time, you're going into the debate season, and there's a debate about the debates. So is Donald Trump mentally stable? What about the $400 million in cash dropped out of the sky into Iran? Was it a hostage exchange in exchange for that money? Well, President Obama said yesterday no, and will it have an effect on the presidential campaign? We'll talk to all of our folks about all of those issues that seem to be at the front burner and have been for quite some time. Let's get to our broadcast now, and that is, here in Fresno County, you have more than 2,000 children that are in foster care, and that means that they are looking for a forever home. That's exactly right. And that also means that they do, some, not all, but some do not have the opportunity to return to their biological parents. Thus, they want that forever home. And let's roll the videotape, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, my friends. One local woman who did exactly that, and I'm talking about adopt, is Erica Garabedian, who, along with her husband, adopted their son, thus giving him a forever home. And, by the way, she also wrote a book, My Forever Valentine. There it is right there. Just a few months back, Erica appeared at a book signing at Barnes & Noble. Friends, family, and others showed up to get a signed copy and this wonderful children's book that you can easily read to your adopted child or anyone else. Not only does the book have the written pages, but there are beautiful and colorful illustrations to go with it. Erica had this desire to read a book to her adopted son, but for some reason she couldn't find one to her liking. Most were about international adoption services. Some of these children are grieving. They are in pain. They need a home. Take a minute now and listen to this very emotional story by young Ashley, who finally got her wish. She was adopted.
My name is Ashley Faith Vasquez. My middle name is Faith because I feel like I had to hold on to faith to get to where I am now. I was 8 when I went into foster care. Somebody knocked on the door and they said that they were from Child Services. I was angry and I cried really loud. I never got to do anything with my biological dad. Because when I was little, he did some wrong things and he went to prison. I miss my biological mom a lot. At one point, I thought I was going to go back and live with her and everything would just go back to normal and I wouldn't have to deal with any foster families anymore. But reality struck. It was like, okay, I guess I don't have anything to live for now. I was in foster care 4 years until I got adopted. I was thinking, oh, they'll say that they want to adopt me, but they probably won't, and I'll just live here for a couple of weeks or so, because I was scared that they wouldn't like me. I believed that they were going to adopt me when they told me it was my choice whether I wanted to be adopted or not. I felt really good that I was adopted. In the Bible, there's a verse, it's Jeremiah 29:11. It's, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future.
All righty, live in our studio now is Erica Garabedian. Here she is, live in the flesh. She is the author of My Forever Valentine. Her and her husband adopted a son, and now they can read this book to him or to anyone of their choosing. You are welcome to call in at 436-MeTV option 11 on this Friday morning. And if you're, want to be a foster parent, we have a second guest that'll be along on this program here in just a little while through the second half of the program. We'll talk about that and how you can go from being a foster parent to an adoptive parent. It's not that difficult a process. There are a lot of kids out there looking for that home, that special place, and for whatever reason, pick a reason. There's 1,001 reasons why kids can't live with their biological parents. I mean, problems with the parents, either they're in jail, maybe they're in drugs, maybe they're in rehab, maybe there's abuse. I don't know. So pick a reason, but for whatever reason, there are thousands of kids that are in foster care. They're in there, but foster care is not forever. It's only temporary, and so they're looking to get into a home that's permanent. 436-MeTV option 11, back in just a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
The Justice Network is here. If you haven't tuned in, you're missing a great lineup of gripping stories of real crime, plus an unprecedented effort by viewers like you to play an active role in making your community safer. You can help support law enforcement by providing information that may lead to the apprehension of dangerous criminals or find a missing child. Great shows and your chance to fight crime, only on the Justice Network.
All right, back here on the program, and there is the book. It's a very easy read. I mean, you can read it in about 2 minutes. It's a children's book, and you can buy this. I'm not sure where. Erica Garabedian is here. Where can I buy this book if I want to?
You can purchase it on barnesandnoble.com, on amazon.com,
Good.
on walmart.com. So it's pretty much anywhere.
Walmart.com.
Yeah.
Can I just go to Walmart and get it?
It's not in the stores, but
it's online.
It is online,
It's
and then through my
online.
publisher, tapepublishing.com.
Yeah. Let me ask you first of all, because I think you may get this question from a lot of parents who do not adopt and can't adopt for whatever reason. I can't see myself adopting just because of certain circumstances, not because I don't feel sorry for these kids, but I'd like to give them a home, but just not possible at this time. So what is it that made you cross that line or jump over that chalk line and say, okay, I'm taking the leap. We need to adopt. We're going to do it. How do you reach that point and why?
It's
a difficult decision. I know it is, because you don't know. You may not know much about the child. First of all,
yeah, that's true.
You don't know what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess you don't know what you're getting when you give birth either.
Exactly.
But it's kind of like that too. But you know what I mean. You're getting someone else's child.
Yeah, but for us, that was always in the plan. We were,
Okay.
that was something that we talked about before we got married, about adopting a baby. And when we decided, I think we were married almost 8 years, we decided to grow our family, and that was just an easy decision for us. So we knew that we wanted a baby because we didn't have, any children. So we knew that we wanted a baby. So with our
So you don't have any
agency-
natural kids
No.
of your own?
No.
So you wanted to adopt? Okay. And there was no argument from him, your husband, right?
Oh,
He
no.
was right on board.
Yeah, he was completely on board. And it's really kind of funny because our son, you would think, there is a biological relation because he looks a lot like me and my husband. He looks a lot like my dad's side of the family.
Is he Armenian?
No. No.
He's not.
No.
He's not. Okay. So how did the process work? How did all this come about? Take us through the process as to, okay, it's one thing you want to. Let's say I want to, but I still actually doing it is a different story. So take us through the process, if you would.
Okay, so for us, you have to choose you don't have to choose an agency. You can choose to go through the county, or you can choose an agency. For us, choosing an agency was pretty easy, only because we had friends who had went through the same agency.
What agency is it?
Family Connections Christian Adoptions.
Family Connections Christian Adoptions. And what does this agency do? What is their job?
To assist families like ourselves with the adoption process. So they do foster adopt, they do domestic adoption, they do international adoption. We had friends who had went through them and had success. So we thought, well, we'll go, through them. We met with them, had a really good feeling with them right from the bat. And then the process probably took us like a year just to complete everything, but that was only because I was in school full time. So it could be done in a lot shorter of a time. But, we finished the process in about a year. And then once our home study was done, because you have to go through background checks, you have to do a home study, you have to do...
What's home study? What is that?
Basically, it sounds, I guess, more scary than what it is, but basically it is, besides all the background checks they do on you, and then any kind of, they have you kind of write anything in your background that may, hinder you from adopting, or may just be, a hurdle for you. Like if you've, had a criminal conviction or whatnot. So we had to do what was called a self-study. So it kind of made me and my husband ask each other questions that maybe we hadn't even thought about before. How many kids did we want? What kind of challenges in a child were we willing to accept? How does our family feel about the adoption? Are they going to be open to it or closed to it? So that was probably, 14 or 15 pages long of all these questions, just nothing was left to be private pretty much. And then once we finished all of that, and then the home study was basically them coming into our house, inspecting it, making sure everything was safe, and that, we had room for a child. And then once that was all complete, and then the agency basically puts together a packet for the counties that says, it has our picture, and it has everything about us and what our friends say about us, because we had to have friends and family kind of write reference letters about us too. And so they put all of that together for you.
It's like applying for a job.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, which I think that's kind of what scares people away, because there isn't anything that's left private anymore. You're basically just
like
putting
running for
everything
office.
out there. Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah,
You're scrutinized top to bottom.
Yeah. So.
But it didn't seem to bother you,
No,
really? I mean, it didn't seem, because you had nothing to hide, obviously.
Yeah, no, we didn't have anything to hide. We
What are the
didn't
kind
have
of
any
things...
criminal convictions. We were
No, but is
good.
that the only thing that disqualifies you if you have a criminal conviction?
No, I don't really know
What are the other things
would
that disqualify you? Like, for example, if you smoke and drink, would that disqualify you? If you've done drugs in the past, will that disqualify
No.
you? If you've had a couple of drunk driving arrest, maybe not convictions, but would that disqualify you?
I think they just
example?
want to see that you're actually rehabilitated from those things, because they ask
Okay.
you like if you've gone through counseling
Yeah.
and you know how the counseling has helped you.
Yeah.
So you know, it's if they feel like that you are really rehabilitated,
Do you have to go through some kind of psychological evaluation or
No.
anything like that?
No.
You don't.
No,
Yeah.
we didn't.
You didn't. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So you had a book signing here at Barnes & Noble, and we ran the monologue video, but we have some other video as well. We have a videotape called Reading. Let's go ahead and roll that. It's called Reading. And so you had a book signing, and I will talk more about the adoption process. And there is your book right there. And did you ever think, first of all, before I get into that, how is it that you wrote the book?
You know, I just.
How did that come about?
Well, before we even brought my son home, you know, just going through just everything that we were going through with writing, having to do all the paperwork and everything, I needed kind of an outlet. So I was just kind of like writing thoughts down, you know, what I may tell him when he came home, him or her, because we didn't know if it was going to be a boy or a girl at that point.
Do you have a choice?
Yes.
You do?
Yes, and we were open to either. And so...
But you wanted a boy. It sounds like you got a boy.
Yeah, I got a boy.
Yeah, you wanted a boy.
It didn't matter.
Oh, okay.
And now that we have him and we're actually thinking about starting this adoption process again, we're thinking we want another boy.
Why not a girl?
I don't know.
Do a boy and a girl.
I don't know, because I think he'd be a really good, like, brother with a brother.
Yeah, yeah. So the book, how did it come about that you wrote a book? So, I mean, did you have any idea you wanted to write a book? I mean, I know I said in the monologue you were looking for books to read to your adoptive child, and there were none out there that to your liking. So you decided to write one of your own, and then what happened?
Well, basically,
you outlined one, right?
Yeah, I kind of outlined one. My plan was just to have it done for my son. I was just gonna, you know, just for him only. And I gave it to my husband to read, and he said, "Hey, like, we had such a hard time trying to find one for him. Why don't we see if you can get it?
Caller.
See if you can get it published." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know." And I said, "Okay."
You had no confidence it was going to be published.
No. And so I contacted one publisher, and they said okay. And
holy cow! I'll bet you were surprised.
I was very surprised.
See, you got to have more confidence.
Yeah.
See, it's good. That's good. You got to be proud of yourself. There's the book right there. Hold it up to this camera. Hello, right here. Okay, it's called Be My Forever Valentine, or My Forever Valentine. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, my question is, they put you through a lot of scrutiny. Do you know your child, his history, like you mentioned, the nationality, Armenian, or any history on the child that they give to you, and you have a chance to select or interview or spend time with the child if it's had been in a bad situation or handicapped, or they have specifics from you to them as far as researching a good child that's compatible with your children?
Oh yeah, the county actually, they know as much as they know, obviously. So if the child has any handicaps, if whatever their heritage is, or boy or girl, their age, any medical conditions, the county is going to let you know as much as they know. And then if you're matched with that particular child, then yes, you will have a chance to meet with them beforehand. They're not just going to say, here's your child, take them home. They're going to try to see, if they mesh with your family, and if...
what do you mean by that? You mean they bring the child by to
no,
your house, what?
Like for us, we met him in a county building, and then...
For how long?
I want to say it was like 2 hours.
That's it?
Well, that wasn't it.
Oh, okay.
So we met him, for the 2 hours, and then they scheduled visits. So for the next 3 days, we had visits with him for I want to say it was 3 hours each. And then it was a Friday night, we brought him home, and that was the night that he got to stay in our home. And then there was a period of 1 week where, we had him in our home. And that was kind of like a trial period to see how we were doing, see how he was adjusting. And, but he was a baby, so it's a little bit different for him. When it's, older kids, I'm sure it's a lot, a longer period of maybe visitation.
Yeah.
I don't know that much because my child was, he was 4 months old when we brought him home. So he was a baby.
He was only 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That is young.
Yes.
That's, wow. Unbelievable. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, I'm Stephanie and Erica's sister.
Hi.
Hi, I'm calling just because I'm so proud of my sister, and I'm really sad that I don't get to be there to watch her promote her book because I live in Minnesota.
Oh.
And I just wanted to let her know that Jesse is just the biggest blessing to our family.
Yes, he is. Thank you.
And everybody should go out and get her book.
Well, you should be very proud of your sister. She seems like a very pleasant young lady, and I'm sure her husband is too, and you ought to be proud of her. She did something that a lot of people are unable to do and want to do. Yeah. Thank you for calling. Where are you calling from, by the way?
Northtown, Minnesota.
Oh, right. Great. So you must be a Minnesota Vikings fan, huh?
I'm truly...
Okay, well, I really appreciate the call very much, and I'm sorry that you're not here too, and we're glad you called.
Yep, thank you.
Love you.
All right, bye, Eric.
Bye.
How old is she?
She's
She about your age?
no, she's 8 years older than me.
Oh, she's your older
Yeah,
sister.
my older sister, yeah.
Oh, so you kind of look up to her, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's good. Did she adopt too? Or
No.
Okay.
No, her daughter's 25.
We gotta go to break here. What do we got? 10:22. Okay. 436 Meet TV option 11. Got to come back and ask more questions here to Erica Garabedian before we get to our second guest, and we'll tell you about that in just a moment.
You can find movies on over-the-air channel 13.3. Movies. Our name says it all.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Back here on the program, 436 Meet TV option 11, and adoption is the topic on the program today. It's top of mind. Let me ask you a question. Okay, so couple of points that I want to pick up on before we got into that videotape of you signing the book. You just wrote the book. I want to clarify this. So she wrote this book. It's called My Forever Valentine. She wrote it not for it to be published. She just wrote it so she could read it to her child, and then her husband said, hey, why don't you have that published? And she did, and voila, here is the book, my friends. You can buy this online at Walmart.com, BarnesandNoble.com. It's a short children's book, and it's a book that you can read to your child or your adopted child, whatever the case may be. So let's go back to that adoption process. You were talking about that home program. They go through this rigorous background checks, and they ask you 1,001 questions that you never even thought they would ask. They probe into your personal life. They ask questions to your friends. What happens after that?
Then that's when
they walk out the door and they say, well, we'll call you. Don't call us. Is that what happens?
No. Well, that's why, we had an agency. So the agency kind of works like a liaison, for us with the county. And so they, put our packet together that has, all the information about us. So when children become available, because they're, they get calls all the time or emails all the time about these, possible children. that are either available for adoption or available for foster care. And so then they, basically give it to the county, and then the county chooses whatever family.
So from the time that they left your house, what was the process after that?
That was like in August, and then by like November, we started getting calls.
Wow, so September, October, November, so like 2-3 months later, then you started hearing from the agency, I assume.
Yeah, from the agency.
From the agency, which is the liaison. And then they were telling you what? That you kind of passed the test?
No, basically that's when we started getting calls from our agency saying, hey, there's these kids of, this particular child.
No, but during the home program, do they tell you right there, okay, you passed, you're good to go?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's
you're
pretty much immediate.
You're pretty much good to go. And they can look you up through court records as to whether or not you're lying.
Oh yeah, they go back, I think 15 years or something.
Do they go back that long?
Yeah.
Wow. So after that process, so they leave your house and they say, okay, you're good to go, you're cleared, you got the background checked, and now it's just a matter of finding a match. And so you had to wait for that match.
Yes.
So you told them what you were looking for.
Yeah, we were pretty much open to anything. We were pretty specific about wanting a baby. About wanting a child under the age of 1, preferably.
Yeah, so you can raise it from near birth.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but everything else we were pretty much open to or willing to discuss. So they, submitted our profile and, different kids, and we'd get emails about, possible kids, and you could say yes or no, or move forward or whatnot.
But did you and your husband ever think about the fact that when this kid gets older, the number one question is, are you going to be honest with that kid and tell them they're adopted, or will you keep it from them? Okay, that's question number one. Obviously, the book says no, you're not going to lie to the kid. Okay, so second thing is, what if this child starts asking all sorts of questions when they grow up, and questions you can't answer? And, how do you handle a situation like, okay, we're not your real parents, but we raised you as our own. We love you as our own. All those questions had to go through your mind. They had to come up in this interview process. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. They
so
tell
what was
you from day one, you should start reading to your child or telling them about their adoption or whatnot. So like even for my son, I read this book to him, and there's other books that I read to him. And just had this conversation with him a few weeks ago, and we were talking about babies because we have a couple of friends who are having babies. And so I had asked him where babies had come from, and he said, from mommy's belly. And I said, well, do you know where you came from? And he said, I came from my mommy's heart. Okay. So he understands, to some extent.
How old is your son now?
He's going to be 3 in a couple of months.
So you're talking to him now about these things?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because I don't want it to be, just a shock to him. It shouldn't be anything he's embarrassed about or anything, that we need to hide from him. I just want him to know, it's basically part of your story, but it's not going to define who you're going to be.
Yeah, it shouldn't harm you in any way. Okay. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, I was thinking that as far as like babysitting that you have for your child at 4 months, I realized where is he at now? He's 3 years old. We'd like to see the nice little boy. But do they check the backgrounds on your babysitters and that much more research into the?
Yes. Yes, they do. They will. They will do a background on the caregivers for your children.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if it went that extensive as far as who you're leaving the child with.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So your child is 3 now. Now, I do want to clarify to the folks at home that you did not want any pictures taken of your adoptive child because.
Well, because, he was adopted from foster care. Right. And it is, his story to tell. There's no reason to have his pictures all over the internet or all over the TV.
The biological parents may or may not be in the area too, right?
May or may not, yeah.
You don't know that. And if they are, you don't want that to be an issue.
No, I do not want that to be an issue.
Yeah. And smart move on your part. So how you know, at what point will you come out and say, you know, at some point your kid's gonna, I mean, I guarantee you, I have kids, I know what's gonna happen. Your kid's gonna reach a certain age, and especially your child now, and they're gonna be into not only social media, the internet, all this electronic stuff earlier than you want him to be, and you won't be able to stop it. So he's gonna be all over the internet.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And his picture may be up there too, you never know.
Yeah.
How are you going to control that, by the way?
Well, I mean, if he wants to tell people that he's adopted, wants to tell his story, you know, if he, you know, is eager to look for his birth parents, you know, we're not closed to helping him do that.
Right.
We're hoping that we can provide, you know, a good, loving, stable home. You know, myself, I was raised not by my biological father. And I never had a desire to go and seek out my biological father. And so I think I have a little bit more of that connection with my son, to where he's not going to feel like so alone as far as the only one being adopted in our family. Because we do have quite a few family members who have adopted, or cousins who are adopted.
And you don't want, at this point, any interaction with the biological parents?
Well, we don't have any interaction.
But if there was, would you allow it? Or
if that was part of his...
Part of the agreement?
Part of the agreement, then that's
then
what we
it
would
wouldn't
have
bother
to do.
you. Yeah, then it wouldn't bother you. Okay. Hey, quick question before we go to break here. Email question from a viewer, can adoptions be done on a trial basis? I mean, if you were dissatisfied or unhappy with the child, would you be able to just drop him off, or what? Return the child?
I know that I've heard of that happening. I don't know that it happens that often.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, you know, there may, prior to the adoption being finalized, if for some reason there's issues that arise and, you know, something happens in your family.
Probably doesn't happen too often.
No, I don't believe it does.
All right, we're talking to Erica Garabedian here. She wrote this book, My Forever Valentine. It's right here. You can get it online. And BarnesandNoble.com, Walmart.com. Back in just a moment with more of your phone calls. 436-ME-TV, option 11. We're back in just a moment. If you have any questions, call in. Got an open line.
This is Tough TV, Tough Sports, Tough Lifestyle, Tough Drama, Tough Reality, Tough Talk, Tough Specials, Tough Movies, Tough TV.
Now on KBHF 4.2.
Are you tough enough?
Want to create something extraordinary? Create perfection. Our lifestyle appliances make it easy. KitchenAid, Ventura TV appliance, and you, when only the best will do.
Back here with Erica Garabedian. If an adoption works out, how long is the probationary period? That's another email question. Or is there one?
Yes, they require that child be in your home for at least 6 months before them moving. You know, even if the parental rights have already been terminated, that child should be in your care for at least 6 months.
Another email question here, the third one. Can you request gender, ethnicity, the sex of the child? Can you make that request of any of those?
Yes.
You can?
Yeah, you can. Your wait might be a little bit longer because you're being so specific.
You're being picky.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, no, you can specify.
And you weren't that picky. You just said, just
no. We
first,
just want a baby.
Yeah, just first one that comes up. It's like an assembly line. Okay, all right.
Yeah, you know, and unfortunately, that really, you know, we got several calls for, you know, just different kids. It just depends who the county, you know, felt that we were the best match for.
Yeah. So let me ask you something. You said you had these visits with your child before he came home. Yeah, as I recall, you said 3 visits, right?
Yes.
3 visits. What happened after those visits?
Then, well, that was those 3 visits, and then that Friday he came home to us, and from then on he lived with us.
But what happened right after those visits? Did you get calls from the agency again? No, they
no,
just...
no. The agency will still come and do like monthly visits, and the county comes and does monthly
But what
visits.
happened after those 3 visits? Who did you talk? You just went. You took him, literally took him home right after those visits.
Yes.
That was it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We brought him home, but there was still checks by the county and our agency that they come in, they check on him, they make sure everything is going good, that he's, not being abused, that, we're providing a good, loving home for him.
Right.
And so that continued up until right before we finalized his adoption. So it was every month for about 9 months.
Yeah. And it's so sad because there's so many that are in. Now, were you a foster parent before this?
Well, you have to be a foster parent in order to do the foster adopt program the way that we did. We wanted to
You
foster.
have to be. That's mandatory.
Yeah, you have, and that's
For
why.
how long?
And that's why the background was so intensive, because you're a foster parent first.
Well, how long do you have to be a foster parent?
Well, it was all done at the same time. So when we were doing our application with our agency, we said we were interested in foster to adopt. So basically, kids that are more than likely gonna be able to be adopted from the foster system, because some kids who are in foster care age out of foster care and they're not able to be adopted. So if in our situation, our son's case was considered low risk, so we were able to, we became foster parents, and then we were able to bring him home, and so we were considered his foster parents first.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Well, and so what advice would you give other parents? I know this book is not about that. It's about reading to your child, but you must have other people come up to you and ask you, okay, what advice would you give me?
About
adopting.
About talking to their kids about adoption?
No, about the adoption process and adopting, whether it's right for them.
Well, that's the thing. Parents need to figure out what is right for their family. So if growing your family biologically and you're not open to adoption, then there's no sense in looking into adoption to try to fill a void that you think just any child that comes into your home is going to fill that void. We were always open to adoption, so we knew that any child that came into our home, we could love unconditionally. And that's the thing, you have to be willing to love without any conditions.
Yeah, it's an amazing process, and you have to. Now, before this, did you have any foster kids living in your home?
No.
You didn't?
He was the first one we brought home and the one that we adopted.
Right, and so that's the problem. So you don't have to be a foster parent beforehand, totally. I mean, to have a foster child in your home before this adoptive process takes place. But some people do that.
Some people start out as foster parents.
Yeah.
And, they have kids that are with them a couple days, a few weeks, a couple months. And then, they end up going back to their biological families or whatnot. And
some
then,
can't, though.
And then some, they don't think that they're going to adopt them. And then it just happens that child's now been with them for a year or so. And now they're looking at adopting that child.
Correct.
So it just depends. Yeah.
Hey, we got to take another break here. We'll bring our second guest on to join Erica, 436-MeTV, option 11. We have an open line. It's about adoption and foster care. We'll introduce you to our second guest in just a moment.
After God created the world, He made man and woman. Then, to keep the whole thing from collapsing, He invented humor.
Sub, a perfect reason to rejoice. A distinctly positioned channel in the crowded Hindi general entertainment channel space. It is India's only family comedy entertainment channel with a core brand promise of असली मजा सबके साथ आता है.
देख रहा हूँ.
Which means celebrate the joy of being together. Taking humor as a universal language, the shows on Sub are light-hearted and make up for an enjoyable family viewing experience. Indeed.
असली मजाक सबके साथ आता है.
अब तो सबको पता है यार.
Sub TV is now on digital channel 31.8.
The following is another list of things you will not hear on MeTV programs. Man cave, baby bump, whatevs, double half-calf mochaccino, full hog, redonkulous, totes adorbs, hella, holla, YOLO, cray-cray, and MeTV is still Kardashian-free. This is what you will hear on MeTV programs.
Welcome, Dano. The Twilight Zone. About Bulls.
I object, Your Honor.
Mr. Grant.
I hear you right. You heard me right.
MeTV. Thanks for listening.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high-efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
Untamed Sports is now on KBHF 4.3.
Back here on the program, connect with me on MeTV Fresno. Erica Garabedian is here, and I'm joined now, of course, by my second guest, and her name is Whitney Bunker, and you are the founder of an organization called City Without Orphans. And talk a little bit about that organization. I know you're kind of like a go-between between, you know, a foster family and the adoption services with the county, and you also work with churches here in the Central Valley. So you started this organization for the main purpose of
being a bridge. So
Okay.
I was working as a social worker, and I was seeing our government over here and our churches and our community over here and businesses over here. And in the idea of fostering and adoption, no one was being the connector or the bridge for those entities. And so City Without Orphans is just basically an organization that bridges those gaps between the community, churches, businesses, and our local child welfare system.
But in just reading some of the material here, it says that you started out as a social worker. You never really had any idea that you would start your own organization. Never thought about it? Never had interest in doing it, or how did that come up? How did that come about?
Yeah, it actually came about after I was laid off from a social work position. So I was working
at the county?
I was working at a foster care agency. So she's talking about agencies and the other.
So you worked at an agency.
I worked in an agency, and I got laid off. And before I even got laid off, I kept thinking, gosh, I wish people could connect more in the community about fostering and adoption, because there's a lot of myths and misunderstandings. There's a lot of need, and no one's coming together to do anything about it. And so then when I was laid off, I just kind of felt it on my heart that I was supposed to take a step of faith and start an organization because nobody was doing this in our community. So that's when I got the idea to start City Without Orphans.
So tell us specifically, and I know you know Erica's case pretty well. Yeah. Tell us specifically in detail what your organization does. You said it's a go-between, but how is it a go-between?
Well, we fill in gaps in
what does that mean?
We fill in gaps. So we specifically assessed our community and where the gaps are in our foster care system, and we found 4 different areas. So there's not enough awareness, there's not enough people talking about fostering and adoption in our community.
Okay.
We saw that there needs to be education about
Hang on, caller.
fostering and adoption in our community.
Awareness?
So awareness and education. So families, a third of families, this is a true statistic, a third of families in the community contemplate fostering an adoption, but only 2% take action to get any information.
What's the third one?
So, and the third is mobilization. So not everybody can adopt or foster, but everyone can do something to give back to a kid in foster care. So we help bring opportunities to do that. And the fourth is supporting families who foster and adopt. So it's not enough to recruit them. We have to support and come around those families.
Yeah, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask a question. I was adopted in the early 60s, like 63. I was born in Italy. I was adopted through a Catholic organization. Okay. I resided in Tulare County. That's where my parents lived. And I had to go through the Superior Court and everything else. Well, in order to, I don't know if these ladies are aware of, okay, in order for me to open my case, I would have to pay a lawyer $4,000 to get a judge to unseal that adoption. Is there any other way around it besides paying a lawyer? I can't because they told me I had to petition, I had to have a lawyer petition the judge to open my file. I couldn't do it.
That's a great question. That is a great question. Stay there for a minute. Okay, it's up to you. Whitney, go ahead.
Well, adoptions have changed a lot in the past 30, 40 years. And so the way they do adoptions now is very different. And so I could see that because your adoption was finalized years and years ago.
Like back in the 60s,
yeah.
Heard, right?
63. Yeah, that there are different rules about those type of adoptions. Back then, people didn't know they were adopted. They didn't talk about adoption. Now, as adopted parents, you're able to have the opportunity to get those files and those information.
So now it's easier.
So
for example, Erica's child, when he finally grows up, and he will, believe me, all right? And it'll be a blessing, by the way. And he wants to go back and look at the file. No problem?
Yes.
Doesn't have to hire an attorney?
No, I have a 9-year-old adopted from foster care, and I have her information to show. And so, but this is a different
can you
era.
help out this gentleman here?
I'm not able to help him, unfortunately.
You can't help this guy.
No,
our loyal viewer, you can't help him.
Yeah, my encouragement to him would be to contact a domestic adoption agency and get advice from them.
Okay. Sir, are you there?
Yeah, well, I contacted social services here in Fresno.
Yeah.
I contacted Tulare County, and they say the same thing. I have to hire a lawyer because they said in the 60s, adoptions were it seemed like it was a sin the way they talked.
Right.
That adoptions were unheard of in the 60s, and that I still have to hire a lawyer from that county to open the case. And I can't see my point. I can't understand that point. I'm 60 years old, and I should be able to have the right to open the file.
Yeah, you should. I don't know what to tell you other than to try and, maybe talk to a legal aid, maybe a paralegal, maybe an attorney. I don't know what else to say. Don't do it. I should know this. Can't you get free advice from an attorney? They give you the first 15, 20 minutes free, I think. Most do. So I would go that route if I could. So find somebody there in Tulare County and maybe just do it.
Yeah, I've tried everything here in Fresno, and they all refer me back to you have to hire a lawyer.
Yeah, I would get more advice on that. I would ask and see if you can have a free consultation with an attorney. Usually they give you 15 or 20 minutes free. Usually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to see if it would help.
Well, I'm sorry about that, but that's the best we could do at this time. But thanks for calling in.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So, Whitney, before we go to break here, you work. How do you work with churches? What specifically do you do with churches? You mentioned, I see some of the articles here, there are like 400 or so churches in Fresno County.
Yeah.
I thought there were more than that, but how do you work with churches?
We present the needs to churches, so we hear tons of social workers and agencies telling us things that they need to help kids in our community. So maybe they need a building for a Christmas party, or they need duffel bags for kids in foster care who get trash bags when they're removed by CPS, or we need cooking classes for teenagers in foster care. And we believe that those churches have those resources available to them. They have buildings, they have people, they have funds. And so we relay them back to the churches and we say, hey, here's an opportunity for you to serve these kids in foster care.
Yeah, so that's how you go around to each church? You visit each church?
Currently, I work with about 40 churches, and I'm always
You're
open
traveling
to...
there in person?
Sometimes it's person, sometimes it's an email or a phone call where I'm
do you
the
meet
connector.
with the congregation sometimes? Do you go and present yourself?
I do. I speak all the time at churches. They ask me to come on a Sunday or have a booth or come to their event. So, yeah.
So you do speak to the congregations?
Yeah,
okay,
when I'm
you make
invited.
Them aware. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Caller, quickly, short on time. Go ahead, quickly.
I was just going to comment, first of all, tell Erica she did a wonderful thing, and also the person that you have, Miss Whitney, if you can please make her aware that we need more, like maybe small seminars in different counties, because I did the same thing, but it was really hard to get help when I did it years ago. But maybe if she could possibly, or her organization, because I get asked all the time how to do it, but, you know, I'm not a professional. But if somebody like her would do these small seminars in different counties, not just Fresno County, because, you know, Kings County, Tulare County, and because she's absolutely right about the awareness that people don't have, but the fact that people do want to do. And I just want a quick question, if they allow military to do this, since they're kind of mobile, unfortunately. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day.
Great call, thanks.
That's a great call. And actually, I'm excited to tell you that we do offer free seminars in our community. Go on our website, citywithoutorphans.com, and it's called Fostering and Adoption 101. And we do...
Say that again slowly.
Fostering and Adoption 101.
.com or
on
something?
citywithoutorphans.com.
Oh,
and
okay.
we have them currently in Fresno County and Tulare County. We don't have them taught in any other county, but it can be replicated to be taught in any location. And we've done 39 of these seminars in the past 5 years. Erica's actually come to speak and be a Q&A kind of panel person. But it does educate families on fostering and adoption, and it's free. And we have one coming up September 24th in Fresno. In Clovis, so please.
So it's like
look
a
on our
seminar?
website.
Is that what this is? September the 24th. Where? What time?
It's 9 to 12 in the morning, and it is at Clovis Baptist Church, which is on Toll House. And you can also get their information on our upcoming events on our website.
And again, that website is citywithoutorphans.com. Okay, not .org. And so, yeah, that last caller brought up a good point. So what about military families?
Yes, military families can. Most agencies are very open to adapting the training. So one thing that Erica shared was about getting ready for the process of fostering adoption. And actually, there are classes that you have to take. Some agencies, it's 16 hours. Yeah, sometimes it's 16 hours of classes. Sometimes it's 20 hours. But those agencies will adapt those classes so military can participate in licensing.
So this is the book signing over there at Barnes & Noble. We saw the previous photo. We had a few people there. Were family members or
family, friends?
Friends. Did you get a big crowd over there? There's that photo. Look at that.
Yeah, that's my sister-in-law and my nieces.
Okay. All right. We have a few other photos to show you as well. And there you are reading. Gosh, I used to read to my kids all the time at Barnes & Noble. I used to take them there almost every day when they were little. And I remember that little area there, that reading area. And so how gratifying and satisfying is this for you and your husband? Not only did you adopt, gosh, you wrote a book about it. I mean, you're only what, 19?
I wish.
No, you're 35.
Yes.
Okay. And so how satisfying is it for you at this point?
You know,
I mean, life has got to be great for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually humbled by the whole experience because I didn't, I wrote the book, then I got it published. I was just so excited by all the response we got from the community and from our friends and people I don't even know. When I was doing the book signing, there were a couple of families that they're either trying to adopt, like they're in the process, or they have adopted before. And so getting to meet them and their kids and their families, that was, a really good experience.
So Whitney, why are there so many kids in foster care right now? What's the main reason? Parents are either alcoholics, drug users, in jail, in and out of jail. They can't afford them anymore. They just give them up for adoption. What is the main reason they have so many kids in foster care? More than 2,000 in this area.
Yeah, most of the reasons have to do with neglect from addiction. So the highest rate of CPS calls have to do with neglect, actually, but the neglect is because parents are so addicted. So that ends up being
neglect,
the number
meaning
one.
they're not feeding them, not paying attention to them, not changing their diapers, not doing this,
not
not
taking
doing
care of them. They're neglecting their kids.
Yeah, their basic needs.
Yeah, their basic needs, and sometimes that causes them to be unsafe.
Yeah. So how is it that most of these cases, how do we find out about these cases that where there is neglect or abuse? How do we find out about them? Does a neighbor turn them in? Does a relative? How do we find, because you can't be in everybody's home. You don't know what's going on.
Right. Calls can come from anywhere. It can come from a neighbor, a family member. There's mandated reporters in our community, and then general public. A mandated reporter is a teacher, doctor, social worker, anyone who works with kids. And oftentimes, if those professionals see kids being neglected or abused, they're going to be making CPS reports. But neighbors call too, as well.
Well, and let me ask you, so what's the percentage of these kids that are in foster care now? What percentage of them return to their biological parents? Is it low?
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, I would say probably 40%.
Only about 40% return to their biological parents. And then how many of those return back to the system because it just didn't work out again?
Yeah. I don't know the exact recidivism rate, but it does happen, unfortunately. But also family, biological family, relatives, aunt, uncles, cousins will take in children as well. And that's really more common than anything, is that they bounce to a foster parent and then they bounce to a relative.
Yeah. See, I think in my own case, I mean, I have two great kids, biological kids, two great kids, but sometimes I need to remind them, hey, you don't know how lucky you are to have two biological parents that care so much about you, because there's so many kids out there that are abused and neglected, and they sometimes our own biological parents don't know how good, or kids don't know how good they have it. So it's kind of a reminder that the system we have in place, and it's not perfect, because you know what? I'll bet a lot of those kids, and I don't mean to end on a negative here, but I'll bet a lot of those kids that go into foster care, they get into an adoptive situation, sometimes that doesn't work out either. I'll bet. What's the percentage there?
It's very small. It's 1%. But I will say that
how do you know it's 1%?
It's small. I mean, it really is. The job of social workers and agencies is to prepare the families for adoption and to support the families who adopt. So it's rare, it's not common. But I will say that kids who are adopted oftentimes struggle with their identity and with their history and their trauma. And so it is real. The loss and the trauma, whether it's a baby or it's a 9-year-old like my daughter, it's real.
Okay. Got to go. Out of time. Erica, good to see you. Congratulations. You got that glow about you. It's just like, God, I'm so happy. I had a great time in my life. Did you have that glow about her?
Oh, thank you.
Well, you do too. You do too. So, anyway, I thank you for being here, Whitney Bunker, and thank you for your time and coming in and sharing the stories. And, you'll come back again maybe.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Don't miss the show on Monday. And I got to tell you, my friends, that guy Gary Johnson, that independent candidate, looking better and better and better all the time. You don't know who this guy is? He was on CNN the other night. Look him up on the internet. He's running for president. Is Donald Trump unfit? Is Hillary Clinton unfit? I don't know. We'll talk about it on Monday. Got the weekend to think about it. Back on Monday. Have a great weekend.
If you have a need to promote your business or event, please consider MeTV Fresno for your next campaign. MeTV reaches over 100,000 of your potential customers in the Fresno area every single week. Plus, you can rest assured that your commercial is running in the greatest family-friendly programs of all time. MeTV Fresno delivers a strong, loyal audience ready to buy, and your campaign will cost a fraction of what you're paying for your